All right, so now, as you all are aware, this is the month of February. This Sunday marks the first Sunday in Black History Month, it being the month of February. And we certainly want to celebrate the Black experience in America and make note of those who have made great contributions to the success of being Black in America, hence why we are here. So at this time, Sister Marie has come forward as being the coordinator to kind of share a bit more context and color around what we'll be discussing this month. And so let's give Sister Marie a round of applause for her efforts.
Black History Month. Can someone tell me the year that Black History Month was established? No. Sister Crew, you remember? No, believe it or not, it was 1976. It was officially established. And the president was, anybody know who the president was? Gerald Ford. Who said Gerald Ford? Howard. You get a gift card from Starbucks. Okay. That's exactly right. It was Gerald Ford. The scholar that actually founded this was Carter G. Woodson. He was a scholar whose dedication to celebrating the historical contributions of Black people led to the establishment of Black History Month, which has been marked every February since 1976. So that's the moment in Black history. But one of the things about it is that Black History Month allows for us to learn, celebrate, and pay tribute to the contributions of Black leaders. In fact, this morning we're going to be singing from his fullness song. Sister Carlotta reminded me about Bishop C.P. Jones, that has indeed impacted not only Church of Christ Holiness, but his songs are now sung around the world internationally. That you can go on hymns.org and you can find Bishop C.P. Jones songs that are now online. We've come a long way from him being the founder of this organization. So we have a lot to be thankful for. Let's give him a round of applause. And I never took the time to actually read the dedication, but in this book is the dedication from Bishop C.P. Jones. Take an opportunity to take this book from behind the pew and read what his dedicated remarks are to Church of Christ Holiness, a reminder about Jesus only in his fullness songs. So, as every year, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History selects a national theme. The national theme for Black History Month this year is chosen by the African American Life and History organization. The theme is African Americans and the Arts. The theme is a reminder that the influence of African American on the arts has been significant, spanning visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, poetry, language, film, music, culinary arts, and other forms of cultural expression. African American artists have used their art to preserve history and community awareness and to empower themselves and their communities. It is so important as we as African Americans take the time, especially in the month of February, to take pride in what we have accomplished over the years that has impacted so many Americans, not just Black Americans, but Americans in general. And we have a lot to be thankful for because a lot of it has been established out of the Black churches. So with that being said, our presenter this morning is Sister Joanne Hardy. That's my sister. Okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. Such a blessing to be here. You know, I applaud all of you that's here with all the bad news that we got in regards to the coming weather. It's just a blessing to see each one of you. Stay prayed up and stay safe today. This morning, as previously mentioned, we are celebrating Black History Month with the theme this year, African Americans and the Arts, in that I am an enthusiast of poetry. I am pleased to speak about a very gifted Black poet, Paul Laurence Dunbar. Paul Laurence Dunbar was an American poet, novelist, and short story writer of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He stands out as the first Negro poet in the United States to show a combined mastery over poetic material and poetic technique. He was the first to rise to a height from which he could take a perspective view of his own race. He was first to see objectively its humor, its superstitions, its shortcomings, the first to feel sympathetically its heart wounds, its yearnings, its aspirations, and to voice them all in a purely literary form. Paul was born in Dayton, Ohio on June 27, 1872, to parents who were enslaved in Kentucky before the American Civil War. After being emancipated, his mother moved to Dayton, Ohio with other family members. Dunbar's father, Joshua, escaped from slavery in Kentucky before the war ended. He traveled to Massachusetts, I can never say that word right. Thank you. And volunteered for the 55th Infantry Regiment, one of the first two Black units to serve in the war. His father died on August 16, 1885, when Paul was 13 years old. Dunbar wrote his first poem at the age of 6 and gave his first public recital at the age of 9. His mother assisted him in schooling. She often read the Bible with him and thought that he might become a minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the first independent Black denomination in America, founded in Philadelphia in the early 19th century. Paul was the only Negro student during his years at Central High School in Dayton, Ohio. He was elected as president of the school's literary society and became the editor of the school newspaper. He was also a member of the debate club and became friends with classmate Orville Wright. The Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, are credited for their work as American aviation pioneers. Dunbar published his poems for the first time when he was 16. Two of his poems appeared in the Dayton Herald newspaper. 2 years later, he wrote and edited the city's first weekly African-American newspaper called The Tetler, which was printed by the Wright brothers. Pays to be friends with the right people, doesn't it? Despite having a high school diploma, which was rare at that time for either Blacks or whites, the only work he could get was an elevator operator in the Callahan building downtown. He wrote whenever he could and jumped at the opportunity when a former teacher invited him to speak in 1892 at the Western Association of Writers. In 1897, Dunbar traveled to England for a literary tour. He recited his works on the London circuit. He was active in the civil rights movements and helped found the American Negro Academy. When he lived in Washington, D.C., he attended Howard University. He had a number of high-profile friends during his life. He remained close friends with the Wright brothers and was also friends with Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass. Douglass once referred to Dunbar as one of the sweetest songsters his race has produced, and a man of whom he hoped would do great things. Dunbar attended both of Theodore Roosevelt's presidential inaugurations. The two shared a brief correspondence. Dunbar sent the president a poem, and Roosevelt in return sent poems to Dunbar. Roosevelt later presented Dunbar with a ceremonial sword. Poet and author, Paul Laurence Dunbar, was so adept at writing verse in African American dialect that he was called the poet of his people. He had such talent and versatility that his brilliant work crossed racial barriers and won him both critical and popular success. Dunbar was diagnosed with tuberculosis in 1900 and died from the disease on February 9, 1906, at the age of 33 years old. During his short career, he published 12 books of poetry, 4 books of short stories, 4 novels, and a play. No other African American published as many books as he did until 1950. A number of schools and other locations around the country have been named in his honor. The Paul Laurence Dunbar U.S. postal stamp was issued May 1st, 1975, which cost 10 cents. Dunbar's home in Dayton, Ohio has been preserved as Paul Laurence Dunbar's House, a state historical site. In regards to his success as a writer and poet, he was quoted as saying, "With it all, I cannot help being overwhelmed by self-doubts. I hope there's something worthy in my writings and not merely the novelty of a Black face associated with the power to rhyme that has attracted attention." Douglass had 2 styles of writing regarding his poetry. Some of his poems were written in standard English, which is the form of English that is taught and understood around the world. The other style he used was written in African American dialect, which was the way that most Blacks spoke at that time, especially if they lived in the South and had little to no formal education. The reason that I am somewhat familiar with this poet, with his work, is because my mother had a book of poems written by Dunbar. As a child growing up, she would often read some of his poems to us. This morning, no surprise to you, right? I would like to share 2 of his poems that will show the difference in the 2 styles of his writing. This first poem that I'm sharing with you is written in the standard English form, and it is entitled Dreams. What dreams we have and how they fly like rosy clouds across the sky, of wealth, of fame, of sure success, of love that comes to cheer and bless, and how they wither, how they fade, the waning wealth, the jilting jade, the fame that for a moment gleams, then flies forever. Dreams are dreams. That's the first style. The next is, this was written in Negro or Black dialect style, just to give you some context so that you'll be able to understand what the poem is about. It's about a mother trying to get her son up out of the bed, but he's moving slower than she desires for him to move. It is entitled, In the Morning. Lies, lies, bless the Lord. Don't you know the day I'm brought? If you don't get up here, you scamp, there'll be trouble in this camp. Think I gwine to let you sleep while you make your bold and keep. That's a pretty howdy do. Don't you hear me, lies you? Bet if I come cross this floor, you won't find no time to snow. Daylight all a shining in, where you sleep, why here's a sin. Ain't the candlelight enough to burn out without a snuff? But you go to morning too, burning up the daylight too. Lies, don't you hear me when I call? No use turning to that there wall. I can hear that mattress squeak. Don't you hear me when I speak? March yourself and wash your face. Don't you splatter all over this place. Look here, boy, I let you see. You shan't roll your eyes at me. Sit down at that table there. Just you whimper if you dare. Every morning on this place seem like I must lose my grace. Fold your hands and bow your head. Wait until the pastor said, Lord, have mercy on our souls. Don't you dare touch them there robes. Bless this food we're going to eat. You sit still, I see your feet. You just try that trick again. Give us peace and joy. Amen. written by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Thank you.